All right, so this is a little bit of a different video, just sort of doing something different. And what I would at least ask, if it's even possible or feasible, of course, anybody can leave a comment directly on the video, but more specifically, I would love to hear the insight and the comments of Black women. Doesn't matter if you're married, don't matter if you're single, don't matter if you're in a relationship, or in between, or whatever it is. I would love to hear your insight and your input specifically about what it is that I'm going to go over, the topic, and also some of the comments along with the clip of a video that I inserted in order to try to further explain certain things dealing with a comment. Remember, anybody could, of course, chime in and all of that good stuff, but I'm really trying to get and see um, Black women's perspectives when it comes to this topic. The topic: why do non-Black men who are into Black American culture seem to have a lot of animosity towards Black women? The writer stated, this has to be one, if not the most bizarre social phenomenon in existence. What is it about Black American culture that attracts the most racist, anti Black women, non Black men in existence? What triggered this post is that I was on Instagram when I saw a post of Meg the Stallion at the Astros game. She looked phenomenal, as she's been looking lately. I read the comments, and there were many Black men thirsting over her, stating how good she looks since losing the weight and wearing her hair natural. But every non Black man that commented was calling her ugly, saying she looks gross, saying how they hate looking at her, calling her trash, like WTF. On Twitter, I saw another thread about her at the game, and some white guy commented that she looks like her Love Below smelled like fish. I know that Meg often gets hate from men. We know the reasons why. But it's not only Meg the Stallion who gets this treatment from non Black males into Black culture, but anytime a clearly, objectively attractive Black woman is posted in a Black cultural space online that is mainly predominantly male, the non-Black males always go into talking about her being ugly or gross and etc. I literally never see this phenomenon in any other cultural space. Whenever men or women seem to be into another culture other than their own, they seem to like and have positive feelings towards the opposite sex of their culture, or at least doesn't feel negative and disgusted by them since they make up half of the culture they're consuming. Like, you will never see this with Asian culture, right? You'll never see a non Asian man heavily into Asian culture seemingly having a strong dislike for Asian women. You'll never see a non Indian guy into Indian culture consistently disliking on Indian women, talking about how unattractive they are. Matter of fact, you don't even see this dynamic with other Black cultures such as Nigerians or Jamaicans. I never see a non Nigerian man into Afrobeats or Nigerian culture talking bad about African women. And I never see non Jamaican men into dancehall and reggae seemingly disgusted by Jamaican women. This dynamic that non Black men into Black American culture have with Black American women is weird, bizarre, and unsettling. I hate that modern Black American culture seems to attract the most vile, nasty, despicable, racist, repulsive, rock bottom males around. Also, I especially notice this animosity from Hispanic, mainly Mexican men. The ones into Black culture seem to have very a strong and particular animosity towards Black women. One person stated, because Mexicans are and will always be heavily racist and anti Black. Another person responded, exactly this. Wish I could upvote this 100 times. The original person, OP, who wrote this said, I feel like there has to be a psychological study on this phenomenon. It doesn't exist anywhere else in nature. where males of another group participating in another group's culture are hostile and antagonistic to the females of that group. That doesn't even exist in the animal kingdom. So, in order for people to actually understand and not think that you have black women out here trying to pinpoint and trying to blame and trying to talk about a specific group of people, before people decide to start getting all up in arms, let me just allow somebody from the culture to speak about the culture and how it is that they are raised and their perception and their viewpoint on people who are darker skinned versus people who are fair skinned.
A lot of people don't understand when I say that Mexicans are culturally racist. They think that I'm calling us openly racist. We are culturally racist, and this is how. Part of our culture is to frown upon dark skinned people. It's been passed down to us by the Spaniards, by our colonizers, by the people that conquered us, taught us that dark skin is inferior, light skin is superior. We were taught that. It was passed down to us, meaning it's part of our culture. We are culturally racist in this aspect. That doesn't mean I go out in the streets and want to hurt black people because they're black.
Right, right.
It means that our teachings, the way we're raised, is that we are raised to subconsciously believe that dark skin is inferior and light skin is superior. Another element in our Mexican culture is Univision News, Univision Channel. That channel is run by white Latinos. The ideologies and subliminal teachings that they teach is very similar to Fox News. White supremacist-ish. They make efforts to depict dark-skinned people as criminals. That whenever they even bother sharing news about dark-skinned people is when they do something wrong. But yet, when they want to mention anything that has to do with light-skinned people, specifically white people, is to depict them as them doing good deeds around the world, feeding the homeless, etc. You get it.
Yeah.
So, you heard a man of the culture literally explain to you why it is that you have certain things take place, the ideologies, what it is that they are specifically taught, also the broadcasting that they also watch, and how it is that they put the lightest of the lightest directly up there. And when they report the news, they'll talk about the darkest of the darkest. And then if they happen to talk about the lightest of the lightest, then they're doing the most positive and the greatest things. They're pretty much the saviors. They're the ones saving the world, but the ones that are dark are the ones that are causing the utmost harm and doing the crime and all of these other types of things. So if you take that same standard and those same teachings, then you bring the same people, you have them amongst black people or around black people, they're going to basically take that and throw that identifier onto black people because that's their understanding, right? Because black people, chances are they will be darker complected, they will be, brown, dark brown, and all of these well melanated colors, right? So they will associate that melanin with a negative due to the fact of the colonization and the history that is in that country, on top of the fact of the consistent racism that is pushed and put directly into the view of the families, the children, and everybody else in that culture. So hopefully that gives an explanation as to why it is that you have men who are of the Mexican culture feel a certain type of way or talk about black women a certain type of way when it deals with black American culture. Later on, she listed, I feel like those men don't like black people or women and get extra triggered when they see both of those things in one person. I think that very hateful people have a deep inferiority complex because that's not the way that happy or secure people behave. Like they need to feel better than someone or put them in their place to feel okay about themselves. It's a losers Another woman stated, I thought I was the only one starting to notice this. I am also wondering why Mexican men are starting to become more bold, talking ish about black women. It's very, very weird. She came back and wrote, why do men of other races seem to have so much animosity towards us when we've never done anything to them or barely have any connection to them? On a daily basis, I never see black women starting problems with non black men. So why do they seem to have something against us for literally no reason? The way many of them behave towards black women is like how two people of the same sex who don't like each other behave. It's very weird how they're always coming for a group of women that they don't belong to and hasn't done anything to them or even interacted with them like that. They don't know us like that on a personal level to behave or to have all of these negative feelings towards us. Last comment. But how come this wasn't a thing in the 90s to early 2000s? I remember around that time, non black males into black culture seemed to be fond of black women during that time. This hatred seems to be a more recent phenomenon. Even when jazz and disco and soul defined black culture back then, the non black men who were into it never seemed to have hostile, negative feelings towards black women. It's like the last past 10 to 15 years, this gross phenomenon has taken hold. This doesn't exist anywhere else. So, going back to her main comment, the book that she wrote, all of the things that she was writing, I've looking at them, right, trying to assess the situation. It's coming directly from a place of hurt because it seems as though these are the men or these are the groupings of men that she is specifically into. And it seems that she is really taken aback, heartbroken and hurt, and really trying to understand and trying to conceive an excuse as to why it is this is taking place in order to try to get away from the hurt, in order to try to get away from the truth of the matter. And I gave you a little bit of the truth with the video, um, within the video. And he properly explained his people, his culture. He gave insight. He stated how they were raised, how they were taught. He stated the perception. So hopefully for a lot of those black women out there, you really shouldn't be amazed or confused as to why it is that men of other ethnicities feel a certain type of way about you. You have to understand the fact that a lot of these men are raised to love their women. They're raised to love the women of their culture, of their ethnicity, of their region. They're not raised to love you. The only men that realistically, and this is not me trying to push a whole different narrative, trying to tell, oh, black women come back. No, I ain't even trying to do that. Like I said, wherever you are, wherever you want to be, you can be there. I'm not trying to pull nobody back. The only thing that I'm simply stating is that every man of every culture is basically raised and taught to love and appreciate the women of that culture. They aren't raised to do the exact same things, right? Because women of other cultures are not the same as those women. They don't carry um, the history, the knowledge. They don't carry that culture, the language, and all of those other types of things. So how a Mexican man is going to perceive and look at a Mexican woman is going to be different how he's going to look at and perceive a black woman. It's two different cultures, two different women, right? They both have the main thing in common, which they are women, but culturally they are different, right? Ethnically they are different, right? So again, it is what it is. I'm a little bit lost as to why it is that I'm able to go online and I'm looking at black women so confused and baffled as to why it is that men of other ethnicities treat them, deem them, or see them a certain type of way. And it goes back to the same things that I told black women before, that just because, like, it's like, all right, you might have a few out here, a minority of a minority, that might treat black women a certain type of way, meaning black men, right? And then you go from that experience that you had with those small amount of black men, and you're looking outward, be like, okay, well, this is the experience that I had here. I know that I'm going to find better. I know I'm going to have a better experience elsewhere. And then you end up finding out that, hey, it's like you're having the same experience, if not worse. Right. And I'm not talking about, black women bringing up the variables of, oh, well, this worked out for my friend, or this worked out for me, and this is, I don't care about none of that. That's great, you got your great story, but that's not every single black woman's experience if they step out here and decide to do all of these things. Like I said, I need people to live in reality. I need people to actually be honest. And a lot of black women out here are not honest when it comes to specifically the treatment, the racism, the bigotry, the discrimination, and how it is that they are actually treated by men of other ethnicities. And the reason why that is because then if black women are honest about it, they either know or feel as though that the black community will get on them because the black community told them certain things, but they didn't want to listen. So, like I said, I get it. I see it. And I completely understand why it is that you don't have a lot of black women, talking about those negative experiences, being honest about that, trying to send smoke and warning signals to other black women out here. I understand. I get it. But like I said, you're not only doing yourself a disservice, but you're also doing a disservice to the women that you consider sisters. And not even just that, you're doing a disservice to your daughters who are growing up watching you doing all of this. And your daughters have a better understanding of who and what you are internally versus me in my perception and also the outside world. So you might be able to lie and get past and get by everybody else, but you can't get past that reflection that is you. You can't get past that little girl that is a representation of an earlier version of you, right? You can't, like I said. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about this video and everything that I listed in the comment description below. And as always, peace, love, and stay tuned for the next video.